উৎসাহ উদ্দীপনার মধ্য দিয়ে বিজয় দিবস পালন করল স্থানীয় লুটন কাউন্সিল টাউন হলে আয়োজিত অনুষ্ঠানে সভাপতিত্ব করেন শামীম আজাদ চৌধুরী।
বিজয় দিবসকে মহিমান্বিত করেছে। আপনাদেরকে সবাইকে আবারও ধন্যবাদ জানিয়ে আমি কন্ডাক্ট করার জন্য সভাটি আমি জনাব আজিজুল আম্বিয়া কাউন্সিলরকে বলছি, এবং এখানে একটা কথা বলতে হয়, আমাদের বিশেষভাবে তার প্রতি কৃতজ্ঞতা। এবং
আমার বয়স তখন কতই বা 4 কিংবা 5, অথচ আমার স্মৃতিকে আজও অন্ধকার করে দেয় সেই সময়ের এক রাশ কালো ধোঁয়া। কুণ্ডলি পাকিয়ে পাকিয়ে যে ধোঁয়া আকাশে মিলিয়ে যাচ্ছিল। আমাদের বাড়ির শেষ প্রান্তে বুড়ো বটগাছটার নিচে দাঁড়িয়ে সবাই ভিড় করে সেই ধোঁয়া দেখছিলাম। আমিও মায়ের কোলে চড়ে সেই ধোঁয়া দেখেছিলাম। সবাই আতঙ্কে রায়ট লাগছে বলে ছোটাছুটি করছিল, এবং তার কদিন পরেই সদ্য বিবাহিত দাদা বৌদির সঙ্গে আমাকে কলকাতায় পাঠিয়ে দেওয়া হয়েছিল।
Uncle who was in Pakistan Army, and fortunately just before the war started he came on leave, and just before the war started his leave ended and he was asked to rejoin Pakistan. At the time everyone said do not go to Pakistan at the time, because obviously no one was sure of what was going to happen. So everyone in our family said wait and see what happens. Then the war started, and obviously he went to India and he was in charge of Latuk, Karimganj, that sector. And unfortunately another of my uncle who was in the Pakistan Army, and he was based at Moinamoti cantonment in Kumilla. Sadly, we still don't know whether he's alive or dead. No one knows where his body is. So we've lost him, and that's one of the saddest things that our family, no one knows. My father went to Bangladesh and he went to Moinamoti after the war, and he asked around many people and no one knows. So some people said he may have died that there was firing, they heard the firing, and he was based in the mosque, inside the mosque.
আমি তখন ঢাকা ফাইনাল ইয়ারের ছাত্র, অনার্স ফাইনাল ইয়ারের ছাত্র, 71 7ই মার্চ যখন রাজপথ আজিমপুরের রাস্তাগুলো ভরে ভরে গেল, মানুষ লাঠি সরকি কুদাল সব নিয়ে, আমরা সবাই ডিভিশন বাদ দিয়ে সব জানালার পাশে সব দিদিগুলো বুক, এমন অবস্থা মানুষের, শুধু স্লোগান। আমাদের পড়ার দিকে আমাদের কোনো খেয়াল ছিল না।
Our community still feel we are still carrying our cultural luggages, our cultural challenges, bring it here. Don't practice what we say. So my personal request would be, fight your demons, brothers and sisters, to achieve what David said, to where we were, to where we are. If you look at this generation and this community, a lot of history. Afa mentioned the history. She touched only the surface of Bengali struggles. Bengali struggle the freedom did not kick off from the brutality of Pakistanis. Pakistanis were the last abusers. Bengal has suffered for centuries. Prior to that, it was 200 years of slavery by British. Don't forget what they've done to our community, our people. The brutality. Pakistani did the element of what the British did is far more deeper. Prior to them, the Mughals, the invaders, what they did to the Bengals. If you look at the history of Bengals, it was most prosperous land in the whole world to where we were. We've been raped, we've been ripped apart, and yet what Afa mentioned, if you look at the resilience in our community, we have that, the DNA of Bengali people. Alhamdulillah, we may be small, our ambitions and our resilience inside us, the most fiery people are Bengali people. All of the revolutions from the start, the brutality, they used to say, all the revolutions started in Bengal. Bengal were the rebels in our history. So we got the blood, but we need to carry on. what happens is like you do the fighting, you win the fight, you bring everything home, and you don't know how to manage it. And that is the craziest bit for us. We fight, it's like a football game. We won the trophy, we won the title, but we don't know how to celebrate our achievement. We don't know how to bring our next generation to be the next champions. So it's not a one season game. It's a season repeating. And we need to learn how to do that. And first of all, what we have to do, first of all, we have to respect each other. The Pakistanis, what David mentioned, when the British did the analysis, what did they do? They look at the resilience. They wouldn't have gone up there if they saw it was a lost battle. Who would have gone up there to help us? They saw there is something to work with these people. If we help them a little bit, they will achieve what we're trying to do. And we got that resilience. In this country, I'm talking about this town. Why haven't we achieved having a celebration here? We need to start thinking what Shanafa said. Bigger picture. If we do an event, let's get together. Don't start thinking this is CY, this is Purbachul, this is Mitalis, this is whoever. We need to start thinking about a bigger picture. In this town, we have had a lot of fights, we have had a lot of battles. And the only time we were able to win when they realized we are united. Whenever they saw there's a unity among Bengali, everybody fears. Everybody fears. Our unity is amazing. So we need to celebrate and we need to constantly think about what our strength. And our strength is unity. We mustn't forget that. Unity, we are small people. We will not be able to fight the Pakistanis. We will not be able to fight the British, Africans, whoever. Most people are bigger than us. Yeah? How do you kill an animal? How do you eat an elephant? You start cutting in small pieces. That's what we are. We can kill an elephant and we can eat it. And the only way we can eat it together. Don't face an elephant on your own. You will never win. We can win. The only way we can win is together. So I'll say to you, let's start this discussion. I don't want to go in history. By the way, I grew up in the war zone. I was with my mother, and there are lots of memories. I won't share any of this because I think we have gone through the emotional phase. I think we need to look at next phase. Since you've given me the platform, I want to talk about next phase. I want to talk about what David said. I want to talk about what others say, and I want to move on to the next phase. And what I want to say to you is, let's move on. What Shanafa said about unity. Let's do a small one thing at a time. If we are all here, forget everybody else. If we are all here and we say, okay, next year we do this event, and inshallah will help you. Yeah, we not just a chamber. We do it together. We do it bigger. We do it bigger. We can do it bigger. We can add on bits. But you lead on this. I would say to don't leave it on the last two months. Like very traditional, our people, I get phone call for 4 weeks before, say, Mintu, can we organize this? No, we can't organize this because I've got other things to do. So after this, I will meet you in 4 weeks' time. We'll put a calendar date in the diary and we'll plan this. Let's do one thing at a time. There are a lot of other things, inshallah. If we stick together, we can do it. Thank you.
স্বাগতম জানাচ্ছি সবাইকে and this is a very special day, nationally speaking, from Bangladeshi point of view, as well as those who are expatriates. We feel that this day has a deep significance for all of us, wherever we are. আমি সবচেয়ে আগে ধন্যবাদ জানাবো কাউন্সিলর আম্বিয়াকে যে এই জিনিসটা অর্গানাইজ করেছে ফর দ্য ফার্স্ট টাইম in this town hall we are doing this. And of course our Anwar Bhai always gets involved into everything, so thank you Anwar Bhai for being what you are. And thanks to our Mukti Jodha extraordinaire who is here with us. আপনি নিশ্চয়ই বলবেন কিছু পরে, সেটা আমরা শুনবো আপনার গল্প, but it struck a note with me when you probably said that we'll be exchanging our experience rather than getting into formal speeches about Bangladesh and how it became an independent country. What happened on the Bijoy Dibosh, 16th of December, when I was in Bangladesh, and we nearly some of us who actually went out after hearing the announcement on the radio that the Pakistani army under Niazi was going to surrender to Aurora of India. They were all GOCs, and when we heard that, nobody thought about safety or security. We all went out, and we went to first. Some people went to the airport road, others went to Sohrabdi Uddan. They didn't think at that time that people who were surrendering, actually they were taking their arms with them. So we caught into crossfire immediately, and the crossfire could have killed us. So we came back home thinking that we couldn't see the real surrender. The surrender took place after 4. It was about probably 4:20 when the surrender took place and Bangladesh was born. And that particular surrender of nearly 100,000 armed forces, nearly 100,000. And it was extraordinary because who can imagine a huge, strong army like that to surrender to a foreign army like that? And of course, the foreign army, Indian army could do this because for 9 months, the Bangladeshis themselves showed the courage, stamina, and the inner sort of urge to have freedom for their own country and to turn East Pakistan into an independent country. So if that urge was not there inside the Bangladeshis, we could not have really succeeded. Even when the Indian army came in, we couldn't succeed. So we have to really remember today what kind of sacrifice our people did for 9 long months. I'm not going to go into statistics. All of you know that, how many people sacrificed their lives. And my personal fury was when only 48 hours before the 16th of December, when we got our victory, the university professors, specialists, engineers, doctors, and even sort of, dentists, people like them, they were slaughtered in a very, very brutal way. And that was in Rayar Bazaar. If you remember Bangladesh, if you remember Dhaka, it happened in Rayar Bazaar, which was not very far from where I was living in Dhanmondi. So the horror of that still haunts me because some of the people were personally known to me. And that's really very sad. And the targeted way the genocide happened during the 9 months is absolutely unforgettable. And I still shudder to think how we survived. When I think, how did we survive? I mean, it's just a miracle that some people survived.
Quite personal to me because my father was there in Dhaka at that time. He was sent by the Foreign Office to East Pakistan in August of 1971. And it's very interesting that when he was given his briefing, he didn't tell us at the time, he told us many years later, that when he was given his briefing in August, the assessment of the UK government, Nazir has mentioned that there was tremendous support outside Bangladesh for the creation of Bangladesh. Bangladesh became a very big issue internationally. There was the Concert of Bangladesh by George Harrison, and many other things. And the view of the British government was that the Pakistani government had made a huge mistake by throwing its 3 divisions into a trap in East Pakistan from which there was no escape. And that the effect of the guerrilla war against them by the freedom fighters was creating was degrading their capacity to fight and also degrading their morale. And so their view was that if the Indian army was using the same intelligence that they were, the normal military campaigning season in the subcontinent is December to January. That's the best season for military campaigns. And their belief was that the Indians would attack East Pakistan in December, and that by the beginning, either by the end of December or the beginning of January, there would be a new independent Bangladeshi government in place. And I think it's very interesting that, first of all, the idea that Pakistan would win never entered their heads. That was not an issue at all. It was all about how to cope with the Pakistani defeat. And they moved my father into East Pakistan. They moved other people into West Pakistan at that time to try and cope with what they realized was going to happen to the West Pakistani government when it was defeated. And as a result of that, when the beginning of December came, my father moved out of his bungalow in Gulshan and moved instead into a camp bed in his office in Motijil, because he wanted to be quite sure that whenever the Pakistanis surrendered, he would be able to get to the Foreign Office, the new Bangladeshi Foreign Office, and make contact with whoever was the government at that time. And he was afraid that if he stayed in Gulshan, he might not be able to get into the town centre. And so that's what happened. He stayed there during that time, and then stayed on afterwards. And another sort of interesting point is that before he went to East Pakistan, he had a meeting with myself and my elder brother, in which he gave us instructions about how to look after my mother and my sister if by any chance he didn't come back. And by our standards, that was a very emotional meeting. We actually shook hands at the end of it, which for us that was equivalent to hugging for anybody else, but for us it's shaking hands. Now, he stayed on until 1973,